Hello and welcome to Creative Crafting by Katie. Today we are going to do a thrift store flip. I have this spatula here. Originally was 95 cents, got it half off. So we're going to work with that. A napkin. My molded wood, which is a bendable, flexible wood-based product, comes in a paste-like form. And we're gonna craft this little thrift store find. So let's get started. Okay, let's get started here. I'm going to show you the molded wood. Bendable, flexible, wood-based product. Comes in a paste-like form. I have it in a zip-tight bag, and it comes in a plastic container as well with a tight, safe, tight lid. So I'm going to take this paste and apply it into the mold that I want to use. I already have one of these cured, so I'm just showing the process of how you would put this into the mold. And when it's cured for 12 to 24 hours, you just go ahead and release the mold, which I will not show in this video, but you just simply take it out. It's very easy for it to remove. There's no difficult way of doing it. It's just simply take it out of the mold. I like to use a Dollar Tree putty knife that's plastic to scrape off the excess. Put it back in your bag because you don't want to waste any of this product, right? And then I will go in here and push it back down. There are a few areas where there's 3 bows on this particular mold. And there is an area where I'm trying to just remove the molded wood from that inner circle of the bow so that it's defined as a bow. Okay. So as you can see, I am taking the extra and putting it back into my zip tight bag. And squeezing out any of the extra air in that. Once I get done with this product, I like to seal it up. It is friendly to the air, so that was what helps make it cure. So therefore, we don't want to leave it out and exposed. So put it back in that bag. But here we go with this thrift flip. I really loved the shape of this spatula. So I'm going to apply an ivory coat of chalk paint. It doesn't really matter if it's chalk paint. It just happened to be the color that worked well with my napkin. So that's kind of how I base my stuff. I really don't use any one particular product. It's really just whatever color I like that matches it. I will be using some acrylic paints on the molded wood itself. I will be painting that up, and I'm going to go a little bit more muted than the napkin itself. The napkin's a little brighter. I do like that. I think it's a fun napkin, but I don't really want to take away from the picture or the napkin itself, the image of the napkin, so I do decide to go a little bit more muted on that. And we'll just dry it up. And then I'm going to apply it to the sides of this so that way it's all covered. But I do not touch the back side of it. You know, sometimes I feel like if you just leave the project alone on the back, you could turn around and flip it over and you could do something completely different on the back side. And I will put a little hanger on this. You won't see me do that. I just use a piece of jute and some hot glue at the end after I get this all finished. But again, you won't see me do that. It's just an afterthought. This is not something that has to be hung, but it would be adorable hung. So I wasn't really sure how I wanted to display it. At the end, you will see a finished picture of it, and I'm just using it as a leaner when I picture it. But that's probably what I would more than likely do with it, is just add it into my decor as a small little added touch. Small enough piece, but also something a little bit with some height. I do like to layer my things. So I figured I'll add the hanger. If I don't wind up using it, you're never going to see it. It's a piece of jute that is going to be put far enough down that it will not peek out the top end of it. So that's just my personal opinion. You do you. Finish drying that up, and then we're going to put the napkin on. This has got 2-ply behind it, so I will remove the 2-ply. And as I was showing you there, the flexibility of it. It does not have to be heated up in order for it to be bendable or flexible. It is that way. Once it's cured, it will remain bendable and flexible, even once the paint is applied. Of course, once you adhere it to the project, then it becomes stable there. But so the flexibility, wouldn't you be safe to say that it's not there, right? You get my point. So a little bit of Mod Podge here on the bottom. I'm not going to go up the napkin or up the stem of this or the handle of this. I'm just going to apply the napkin. And I'm really more concerned about the birdhouse, not the actual stand of the birdhouse. It's not a long enough piece for me to do that. And I don't want to go up too high, so I cut this down here. And again, the molded wood's going to come right to this area, so I don't have to be concerned about it looking perfect. So I think that the ivory color Waverly chalk paint works really well underneath this for being able to show off the napkin the way I intend it to. So you could also put some antique Waverly wax over this. I do not choose to do that. I will add some gold around here at the end, and I will show you the product that I'm using that I found at Hobby Lobby. Super inexpensive for $1.99, you guys. It comes in lots of different colors, and it's just a wax. It's really nice, silky, pasty, metallic wax that I will apply around the edges of all of this and enhance the molded wood after I apply some paint to it. I'll show you that technique here in a minute. Just going to add some Mod Podge over the top to protect it in case I splatter something on this, having it in my kitchen. You just never know, right? I'm not the neatest cook nor baker. I like to slop around in the kitchen. So safe to say, now it's protected. Just dry that Mod Podge. You could also add a little bit of diamond dust in this, but I wouldn't recommend it if you're going to keep it on your counter area. If you're going to hang it, maybe, but I would not want to have that glass, which is what diamond dust is pieces of glass crushed down. I wouldn't want to do that if I had it over any of the food surface area that potentially could fall off, and then you're going to be biting on some of that. So I am just dry brushing this on just to show you that you can do something as simple as that with this and apply it to the handle. But that was just an idea I wanted to throw out there for you guys before I went ahead and put a full coat of the ivory on there. The same color I'm used on the handle and the surface. I'm going to do the entire piece of this molded wood trim. This has some flowers, some bows, some leaves, as the trim goes. So I will do the whole thing in ivory, come back and embellish it up after that, or kind of pick apart my different pieces that I want to put some other colors of paint on in that, in those areas. But sometimes it's easier for me to just start off with a fresh coat of my base. You don't have to. You can go ahead and spot do this entire thing. But sometimes there's a little bit of surface on the back end of it, the underneath part, that you want to go ahead and make sure you get completely covered. So sometimes when it's really intricate moldings, trim like this, or any type of very small detailed things, sometimes it's just easier to go over it with the base coat first and then come back in with your other colors. Especially with this being light, you're starting off with something easy as a surface. You can definitely spray paint these if that makes it easier for you. A lot of times by adding that color, it pulls out all the different not embellishments, but all the different nooks and crannies, so to speak, how detailed each mold can be, by simply putting a fresh coat of something over it, whether it's spray paint, acrylic paint, chalk paint in this case, or even dry brushing it like I did in the beginning there, does help enhance and show all of those little fine details there. So I'm using this acrylic paint here, and I believe it's aloe, the color. I'm using it because it's very light in color, and like I had mentioned in the beginning, I wanted to go with a mute color. I don't want to go as vibrant as the napkin is, because I don't want to take away from the napkin. I want to do this kind of a little bit different. So this step's going to be a little bit detailed. I have a very small, thin brush that I'm going in there, and I'm taking the aloe to my leaves that are on there around the flowers. So I will show you up a little bit closer in just a minute. It will be a little bit harder for you to see all of those fine details of that, but it's there. You'll see it as we go along in the video here. And then I will choose to paint the roses also that are on here. They're like a little rose petals or so yeah, I will paint those up as well. And I'm going to do a little bit of layering in this. So I did dry this, but I didn't worry about it being a full dry because I felt like if the ivory were to mix in with the aloe, I was okay with that. Again, because I'm going for that more muted look, I want it to seem super natural, and you'll notice that as I get this more done and start layering it from there. Okay, there are the petals of the leaves itself, and then this is a soft pink or baby pink, it might have been the name of, and I'm going to take a baby wipe. I'm using that because it's wet, moist, okay? Then I'm going to take a stick and I'm going to grab a little bit of the ivory and a little bit of the pink, and I'm going to use this on my baby wipe because, again, it's moist. I'm looking to mix these two colors. The pink was brighter than I wanted it to be. It went well with the napkin, but again, it was just brighter than I wanted it to be for the look that I'm going for, because I do want to kind of antique this down towards the end. I'll put some Waverly wax over the top of it. So anyways, you can see that I'm getting it to be a little bit more of a pale pink. I didn't have a great pink other than to do it this way. And I was okay with this not being 100% all mixed together and allowing the moisture from that baby wipe to mute some of that a little bit more than other areas. And I will leave that little stick there so I can kind of pull a little bit of that heavier color off of that as well. And I'm going to actually use a smaller tip brush that I was using with the ivory, again, to help keep that color from going too bright. I just want it to be very, very subtle. It's a little bit harder for you to see on this particular angle. I didn't get it in close enough, and I apologize for that I did not get it in close enough for you guys to see the actual detail of it. And hopefully you'll see that in the final picture of this. I absolutely love picking apart these molds and putting my own touch on it as far as the color palettes that I use and letting my creativity go. With this molded wood, the sky is the limit. Your brain is the limit. Your creativity is the limit. There's just so many ways you can go with this. So many places, so many different types of silicone molds, so many different kinds of cookie cutters, you name it. There's so many different ways. Just stay tuned to my page here. Subscribe to my channel if you don't already. It's a wonderful way to learn how to use this product. I will use it in many different forms in different videos. I'll use it for furniture. I'll use it for repairing picture frames, wood things. It's wonderful, just wonderful and versatile in so many different ways, not just to embellish up your crafts, but also to use and embellish up some furniture, maybe give it a little fun spin and zhuzh it up a little bit. Really, you just let your mind create and just go with it. It's amazing. This will adhere to any type of material with the proper adhesive for the material you're applying these appliques or molding trims to. So if that makes sense to you, I like to use a lot of E6000, Stick Fast, 3-in-1 on things like metal, glass, tin, ceramic, wood glue, obviously on anything that's wood. I do not use hardly ever any hot glue when I'm adhering molded wood, unless I'm adhering it to possibly a piece of ribbon or maybe some scrapbook paper or rice paper where it's more of a paper type product. I don't like to use hot glue. It's easy for any type of things to come unadhered from the use of that, but I want this to be a long-term thing, so that's why I like to use the appropriate adhesive and not the wood, and being mostly wood glue. Anytime I'm putting on wood, it's going to be wood glue, which I will use, and nothing fancy. It doesn't really matter. I happen to just have some wood glue when I actually do this. It's not any specific, I don't even know, Elmer's maybe it was, but a lot of times I will use maybe your tight bond wood, where it will set up a little bit quicker, but this was a small enough project that it did not matter which one I used. And so I got my baby white back here. I'm using the Antique Waverly Wax. I'm going in there and antiquing it down. You can see where my upper left hand there at the top of the screen more. You can tell the difference between the color already by putting this wax on there. And I'm dabbing it off because I don't want to have an excessive amount of it. I will come in and wipe it with the baby wipe and back and forth till I can get that to be the consistency or color that I'm looking for. Don't forget to do the sides of these. These molding trims and appliques are going to be very detailed, and they will have a little bit of depth to them in some cases. So you want to make sure that you're grabbing all the sides all the way around there so that it all is cohesive. Once you go to apply it on there, you don't want your sides to be like stark white, so to speak, and then you have this antique look on the top of it because it'll look silly. So just make sure that you get all around the edges and stuff. And so, yeah, back and forth with the baby wipe. I am putting it on all of it, whether it's the pink flowers or the green leaves or just the whole ivory background as a whole. And then I will wipe it off, and we will get it adhered to the top of that handle. See, some of it's darker than others, so it's going to turn out pretty cool here. Again, I apologize for not being any closer on the images here. So the wood glue will dry clear, so don't worry about that. If you put too much or too little on there, no big deal. And then I will come in and use that metallic wax that I get from Hobby Lobby. It's something new that I'm playing around with. I do have it in several different colors, and I will actually just use the gold one here. That way I can put it around the entire project. So I'm actually coming back after I do the wax, and I'm putting some of this cashew because I felt like it was a little bit off having just the ivory as my base coat. So I'm coming in here and adding mostly to the ivory areas this other color, cashew, just because I felt like it matched the napkin a little bit better. I'm leaving the handle still in the ivory because I don't want it to be too matchy-matchy. I want it to have a little bit of contrast there between the handle and the molded wood. But just play around with your colors, and you'll get familiar with it. And you should only have to apply a coat of paint if that's all you normally do when you're crafting. You shouldn't have to use any more than what you normally would on anything else as you will on this molded wood. Okay, so let's get some of the wood glue there, and I'm going to put it on the handle and show you how beautiful this looks. Oh, Loctite. I, for some reason, thought it was Elmer's, but anyways, it's Loctite wood glue, and I'm just going to apply some of it here, and then I'll spread it out with my finger. I do like to get it along all the different areas, the tips of everything, because I want it to stay flat. I don't want this having wings on my little bows here, so just get in there. Don't be afraid. Get into the nitty-gritty of it, right? Fun project. I like to do these flips. I like to go to the Dollar Tree, buy something simple, piece of glass, ceramic, a frame that has nothing there but the wood, plastic, whatever, and go ahead and zhuzh it up with some of this trim. It's so fun. You guys, there are so many different silicone molds out there. It's amazing. You will have so much fun with this product. If you've never tried molded wood, please give it a try. You're going to love it. It's so fun to craft with. I have other videos on this page. I have a YouTube page just for molded wood that has videos that you can watch on just the whole process of molding and unmolding and playing around with different colors and different ways to use this product. Check it out. I'll leave a link here in the description for the other YouTube page as well. All right, so I'm going in there with the small little brush that I used, and in between those little bows that I said, originally I was scraping that molded wood off, so it was able to see that it had a bow. It was a bow, and there was an opening there. I was just getting the excess glue out of there, that's all. So look how fun this is. Now I'm going to add that wax, and here it is. Real small little container of this is at Hobby Lobby, and it's in the paint section. You'll find it by like the rub and buff and all that stuff. So you hopefully can see this in the video at the end, but it's there. Trust me, it looks good. I'm just rubbing it all around the edges. Again, you could Antique Waverly wax this instead if you wanted. You do you. Go with the color that you like, but anytime you add another color onto this molded wood, it enhances all of those different definitions and the fine detail of the molded wood, which is what I'm doing here. Just by putting your finger across the surface, it's going to just pop out so much of this image. It's incredible. Whether you use a wax or a rub and buff or another coat of paint, kind of dry brushed on the surface, it's really something. So please make sure that you subscribe to my channel if you already do not, and check out some of the other videos with the molded wood. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and you keep coming back. There's just so much more for me to show you on this product. I'll be working on some furniture soon. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and please subscribe to my channel.